All right, so really exciting win, obviously. In some ways, some similarities last time we played those guys, coming down to basically the last play, and our guys showed up. We said all week, Kentucky's a really good team. They play really hard. They play physical. They play hard. We're going to have to play harder, and you're going to have to counter them because Coach Stoops has done that for years. Does a great job, and they were physical today, and I think in the end there, our guys showed up and we put it on the D-line that last drive. Said, hey, you got to go take this thing over, because they're going to finally be throwing the ball and go win it for us. So that was good to see. Obviously, we got a lot of work to do, things to clean up. Crowd was awesome today. It's who knows? Did they fall start at the end because of the crowd and help us win the game? Very well could have. So that was awesome to see.
Lane, twice in the fourth quarter with them driving and an opportunity to go ahead, you guys made plays on defense. What does it say about the job Chris has done with that unit and some of those veteran guys that made plays?
Yeah, I think they really believe. They play really hard. We did not, because of their pace of play, rotate many guys today. So, guys, a lot of them played the whole game for the most part in the back seven. And Chris has done a great job and, rallied the guys. And we've been very multiple at what we've played. And, that's a top 10 team without their running back. So he wasn't playing before, and y'all had him ranked in the top 10. So with him, obviously they're even better. So, that's a big time, defensive day, especially at the end.
You've talked about the success coming off the edge all season, but just how validating is it to see those guys, when you're only rushing 3 or 4 as often as you do, get home as often and make those big plays?
Really big because, we're based out of a 3 down, and so that's kind of new this year. And part of that is having JJ, who, was able to play some today after being out for a while, and, having some ends, we can play in there that can really rush. And it was great that Ivey made a play there at the end. We always talk about getting better. He'll tell you he was the same guy that didn't make that play basically 7 days ago, similar play, and it was awesome to see.
With, of course, the shuffling on the offensive line, just curious to know your assessment of that and how certain guys in a certain spot, either rotation or what you kind of see out of that?
Yeah, we did, with the center down, obviously that, that causes issues. And, we had to double move some guys and play guys at different spots. And, you're in the SEC and, you're playing with 2 freshman offensive tackles. So, those guys did a good job. Micah, basically his first significant play starting, against a very hard defense to play against. I think they did a good job.
Lane, yesterday you had the big announcement, NIL stuff. Today you win a 9th straight regular season game. What do the last 2 days here mean for the future when you look at this program going forward?
I mean, I hadn't really thought that way. I didn't even know 9 regular season or whatever. But, it was really good timing that, kind of relaunching the collective, and even though it's not really us doing it, was really good. So that'll be important because you won't sustain the success because I'm honest about it without that. So that was really awesome to see the energy around it, but I haven't thought near as much of that as the energy today in the stadium and the walk. And, like we tell our players, when you play well, that's what you're supposed to do. So keep doing it. We appreciate it.
Coach, what does it mean for you and the staff to see this group win this game the way that they did? That term, finding a way to win. When you see a team perform like that, what do you think that does for the team going forward and just seeing their performance today?
Yeah, I think, the game obviously could have went easier if we score there and, go up 2 scores when we're down there and, we go for it, which, that's analytics. I'm sure a lot of people didn't like that, but 6 points doesn't do you a whole lot of good comparable, to leaving a team down there or going up by 10. So, to see that would have been a lot easier. So I would have liked that better. But when these happen like this, it brings your team together and people got to rise up and they got to make plays. And it was cool because the defense made a play that some people say, okay, well, we won the game. Well, no, there's still 2.5 minutes. And they did it again. which was huge.
Coach, last week you said you wanted Dart to rely more on his passing as opposed to his scrambling and his rushing. He did that today. How does that make you feel, and what do you have to say about that?
I thought Jackson played really well, which I'd be surprised I'd say that with, a 22-point game, but I thought he did really well, had the really poor decision, which was much like the Georgia Tech 2-minute where he threw the interception, which we need to get points there to end the half with some momentum. And, we had a power read where he pulled it that would have scored down on that other, on the other side end zone there. Other than that, I thought he played really well, really poised for a hard defense, a big game, and made a lot of plays. And he seemed very composed. It didn't seem like it rattled him at all.
Otis didn't play that first half, and then he comes in the second half and makes that huge fourth down stop. I know we talk about a lot of defensive backs, but just how important is he for this defense?
Well, I think that, can really big. Somebody sits the first half and they come back and they're rested. They're back, sat for 4 games. They was certainly rested today. So Otis got to sit for a half and came back, excited to play, and thought he did some good things there, and we needed him too. Because again, that's a hard run game. They do really well, and a really good quarterback. I mean, their offensive coordinator said he's the first pick of the draft. So, that's pretty good defense to hold 19 points with the first pick of the draft.
Now that it's happened 3 times, are you starting to get concerned about the second half offense, or is it still you see the indicators and you know that that's not too much of a concern?
We'll go back and watch the film. Obviously didn't feel great again, especially at the end, not to finish out. But, we did move the ball, just didn't finish drives there in the third quarter and didn't have a lot because of the style that they play with. And that's going to be the case. You're not going to get a lot of chances and got to make the most of them. And, we left the ball down here on the 4 or 5 yard line instead of, getting a touchdown.
I know you probably don't think in these terms, but there were so many talks about this team not being tested through the first 4 weeks. How important is it to have proof of concept now against a top 10 opponent?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. It's one game. Let's look at the game as, a coach does. That game could go either way. But really good team that plays really hard with really talented players and good coaching. So, we're not all of a sudden got everything figured out, because we made a play to win the game at the end. So we got a lot of work to do, and excited to get back to it and excited to stay undefeated.
Back of the room. A lot has been made of the transfers and freshmen. This is a lot of their first SEC games on this team. How impressed were you by them and their poise taking on not just an SEC opponent, but a top 10 SEC opponent?
Well, really good job. I mean, see the offensive stats, you basically got, basically almost all the freshman running back and transfers. So outside of Mingo. So, it's good they're coming together. And I think that if they continue to do that, I've always thought from the beginning of the year this could eventually be a special team that got better because they just came together, kind of like, NBA team with a bunch of free agents in the beginning of the year. So, especially when it's a quarterback too. So, I've said from the beginning to these guys, it's a very talented room. It's more talented than the last 2 years of what we've had, but doesn't mean we're going to be a better team. We've got to come together and do a lot of things.
Coach, Michael Trigg obviously had a false start on 4th and 1 on that first drive, and you let's just say you could have been happier. Can you just talk about that exchange and how he responded to that on the field?
Yeah, that was not pleasant. Supposed to be on the ball, and we stopped the play twice, whistling over to get him on the ball, and so is what it is. Again, like you get new players, you have young players, they come together. It doesn't all work, and it takes some time. And Jackson will be a veteran someday. He'll move the guy on, like I was trying to do, and help him out. So it just was unfortunate because it's 4th and 1. They're in a good look. We're just going to hand the ball off and make a first down and end up having to punt because of it. So, but he handled it fine.
Anything else for
All right, guys.